I will get offended by anything you ask me, and explain to you why it's offensive. AMA. Edit. I have reached the most offense I can take for today, so I'm going to sleep. This was by far the worst experience of my life, and I will be back here tomorrow to answer more questions. So keep them coming. Edit 2. I expected a few people here to get off on my pain, but not so many. Seriously, now I have literally hundreds of questions to answer, which I don't think is even possible. How do you think that makes me feel, huh? Not to mention all these awards that try to compensate me for my pain so I won't think you are all horrible people. Well, guess what? You can't buy me. I am still offended and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Edit 4. Repeating questions will not be answered. Edit 5. 2 things. 1. Ask a real question. Is not a real question. H. Is not a real question. Hi? Is not a real question. 2. Stop asking things like if you have 2 dads and no mom, how were you born? One of my dads is trans, which should have been obvious to you, if you had the slightest interest in other groups in society than your own. This should not have been so surprising that you couldn't even imagine it. Ooh, here's one. Wanna hang out tonight? Find offense in that. My brother actually hanged himself 2 months ago. I'm sure you know many people kill themselves each day, and many of them hang themselves. Knowing that, why would you use a sentence with the word hang in it? Do you seriously not know how hurtful that is for people who knew someone who hanged himself? You are just horrible. Do you like chocolate? Did you know that most chocolate at your stores come from the work of people who are basically slaves? They work in harvesting cocoa for almost no money, just so you could have your chocolate. Your question completely ignores their suffering, which you probably didn't even know of. I bet you don't even know who Yuri is. First of all, this is not a question, which tells me you don't care about the rules I requested for this post. So shame on you. Now let's say you asked, do you know who is Yuri? This is obviously offensive, since you give me a common first name only to laugh at me for not knowing who he is. How can I? Your question is designed to fail me. I could guess you might mean Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, but again I cannot know what you meant since your question wasn't sincere to begin with. Like MW3 Yuri. Do you like cats? Your question can seem to mean that I like cats as food, same as asking if I like chicken. I'm sure you didn't mean that, at least not consciously, but some people might read it in that context and can be really hurt by it. You have to be sensitive of how you phrase your questions as to not hurt other people's feelings. Why did the chicken cross the road? To escape being slaughtered and turned into food for humans. Chickens are sentient creatures that get slaughtered by the billions each year, and talking about it just reminds me of their pain. You can't use the word chicken again until they will all be set free. Do you like sunshine? This is offensive to people who live in the desert, where sunshine kills. Did you ask me where I lived before assuming it's not a desert? No, because you don't really care if your words hurt someone or not. Do you enjoy the company of flamingos? Are you saying that Op is some sort of obsessed antisocial animal fanatic, like some crazy cat lady? As if the Op is not capable of forming real relationships, so he has to surround himself with a bunch of flamingos? How dare you? I'm offended on Op's behalf. Do you prefer apple juice or apple cider? As I said in other comments, having preferences, favorites and so on is a sign of an oppressive system that relies on hierarchies. To me all things are equal, so I don't prefer anything. I'm offended by this post. Some people get offended easily by people making fun of people who get offended easily. Why would you do this? You are obviously lying. Not only that, you are lying in an attempt to make me feel bad, which makes you a terrible individual. And that's even without considering how you pretending to be offended is an appropriation of my emotions for your own sick amusement. How is a hateful person such as you capable of being in a family and not being expelled from it? I was actually just kicked out of my dad's home. So thank you for your hurtful comment. You succeeded in your quest to make me feel even worse than I did until a moment ago. Can I have a hug, you great person? You are assuming that Op gives everyone free hugs. How can you look down on a person so much to think they are nothing more than some object which brings you comfort? How long does it take for you to come up with replies? Why do I need to come up with my replies? Unless you are suggesting that I am making them up, which is your way of saying that all my pain, talked about in detail in these comments, is nothing to you. You see a person suffering in front of you and your reaction is to accuse them of making up their own suffering? Something is very wrong with you as you clearly lack basic human empathy. I am a 12-year-old that goes by the pronouns she and her. I am going through a horrible time and where I have many times considered suicide. I just want to know why you would make this to try to make us feel bad about anything we say? If I got a response like some other people that might have been my breaking point, so why would you say this not considered other people's feelings? That offends and hurts me. There was a person who trusted you with his life, That's right, his life. He asked you if he should kill himself as a last attempt. You proceeded to not ask if he's okay or any follow-up questions. You experience a death in the family. You should know how it feels and know from that comment you might have pushed him past his breaking point and proceed to get mad at him for it. There are people just trying to make your day better, but no, you get mad at them. I understand this may all be real, even though I do have some doubts. Why would you make this just to make yourself offended and suffer? There's nothing you can say that will convince me that you're not making yourself suffer, because this was completely preventable. For me, it's gotten so bad that myself and other PPL like myself turn to drugs, antidepressants, for help, and you're here just making yourself sad on purpose and getting mad at other for it. You're truly the lowest scum on this planet. I regret nothing I said. Just answer the question and think about what you're doing to people like me. You surf the internet voluntarily. You entered Reddit voluntarily. You read, voluntarily, by your own choice, a post that makes clear right from the headline that I will get offended by anything you ask me and explain to you why it's offensive. Yet you present yourself as a victim of some attack by me. I don't know if what you wrote in your comment about who you are is true. If it is, consider not reading posts that you know in advance will hurt you. This is your responsibility on the internet. For example, would you enter a post clearly marked as containing nudity, then say how hurt you were by it? You chose to see it. I have no way to police who reads this post, so I made an effort, from the start, to make the contents of the post clear from the headline. If you chose to read it regardless, that's on you. No need to call me names and curse me. I did not attack you. You came here voluntarily, knowing exactly what this post is about. Take responsibility. How are you? What? How am I doing? How is my life going? If you read my other comments, you know I have gone through many traumas, so why would you want to make me think about it all again? Are you getting off on reminding me of my traumas? At least warn me before you write a question like that. You are a lovely individual and I appreciate your existence. This is obviously a sarcastic comment, what you wrote. I'm not even going to respond to such an offensive saying. Not to mention it's not even a question, which proves you don't even care that this is an AMA. You only care about yourself. Is this statement false? I am not going to play your silly logic game. Logic is just another invention created purely for the oppression of others. Which you would know if you cared even a little to check what your words mean before you wrote them. Am I stupid? Are you baiting me to call you stupid so you could then use that against me? I don't know you, and don't know how smart or stupid you are. Asking me about it is clearly just a sick joke on your part. I think you are kind. I think you are being sarcastic, and making a joke at my expense. I also have proof, because your comment wasn't even a question even though this is an AMA. So you obviously don't care about me and my post. Do you agree with people getting offended by every small little thing? This is a very obvious attempt to criticize me by accusing me of being offended by every small thing. Not only do you make fun of me, you didn't even have the guts to do that directly. How many dads do you have? You obviously read the comment where I said I had 2 dads. So why are you asking again? Is this just your version of an anti-gay joke? You want me to say again that I have 2 dads because you find that funny? Is that it? Do you game, as in play video games? Come on, you can't just ask that. Most people on the planet don't have enough money to buy a gaming PC or a console, or even have electricity. How will they feel if some upper-class person suddenly asks them, do you game? You are basically making fun of them for being poor. Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Do you really suggest I suffer by choice? This is probably the worst form of victim blaming that I have ever seen. I don't want to suffer. But people keep writing offensive comments and I feel it's my duty to educate them, for the sake of all the other people who will get hurt by their words. What's your opinion on breathing? My opinion on breathing, as in the Nazi experiment with that name that was performed on children? WTF is wrong with you? Why do you get offended at everything? Your question assumes the answer, which you have no right to assume. I'm not answering to such an obvious attack. How's the weather outside? While it might seem obvious to you, not everyone has access to a window. For example, I live in my dad's basement and therefore have no windows to look and see the weather outside. I can get out, but that requires going up the stairs, which will cause me serious pain. So next time you want to ask something, consider that maybe not everyone have the same privileges as you. I wanted to kill myself, should I? If you read the other comments, you know that my brother killed himself recently. So how can you ask me that? You obviously don't care about my feelings at all. I bet you just wanted to hurt me by reminding me of my brother. I am offended by you choosing to talk about your brother killing himself to avoid the main point of his question and not answering if he should kill himself. There are more people like me that would like to kill themselves and you choose to just ignore us and answer this to keep going with your AMA. Is Keanu Reeves a good person? As I explained before, Good and evil were invented in order to make people kill each other by separating humanity to the good equals people to protect, and the evil equals people to kill. Using the word good reveals exactly how twisted your moral code is.